Ryan Buttermilk Hammer.
Hammer.
But your last name. Tell us what your last name is, because we just had this discussion. It's fascinating.
Schlegelmilch.
Schlegelmilch. Schlegelmilch. Schlegelmilch.
Schlegel and then Milch.
Which is German for...
Hammer milk. Butter maker.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
So super excited that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
The irony of your last name and what you do here at Cumberland Heights is you're head chef.
Correct.
Right? Official title, which is interesting to me. I mean, I usually barge into the kitchen and say something about the food that we have. It's always been positive. Pretty sure. I've never.
Yeah.
And I think Joey and I one time nerded out with you on the smoker.
Yeah.
And then Ryan, like maybe last year, we did fried chicken kind of video and all sorts. So we just always appreciate your collaboration and what you do. And I'm super curious to talk more about like what it's like to cook for a lot of people every day. How did you get started here?
Well,
how long have you been working here?
I've been working here a little over 3 years. I've been sober for 4 years. And then, so I worked in the kitchen at Stillwater's. I did the work program. And at that time, Alex Hartfelder was the executive chef, and he became the executive chef out here. And at that time, you had to have a year in order to work at Cumberland Heights. So as soon as I got a year, I transferred over to the kitchen.
Yeah. So tell people about what the work program at Stillwater's is, because that's kind of a unique, not for everybody, by the way, but unique experience.
So you're a resident, and then you can go into transitions, and then they give you the option of work program, which would be usually you've been there 4 months before you would make a commitment like that, sometimes more.
Yeah, not on the front end.
Right. And they only have one position, I believe. I'm not sure if it's still that way, where you can do the kitchen, and then they also have like the physical work programs.
Like the grounds.
Yeah,
and all
the
that kind of
grounds.
stuff, yeah.
And so, at that time, I was just running a normal kitchen. It was kind of during COVID, so there were some restrictions. It was a little weird at that time, especially with ordering. We ate a lot of turkey, a lot of pork tenderloin at that time. A lot of things.
Because that's what you could get?
Yeah, because there was, there was only a certain amount of things. They had one purveyor. They show up 2 times a week. You order, they would drop it off into the driveway. You guys drive the van down to the driveway, load the order, bring it back.
Right.
But yeah.
How long were you at Stillwater's? And was that your first treatment stop?
It was not. No, I've had a couple. Yeah.
As we do.
Yes, I'd been through Cumberland a couple times. Yeah, and then I made the commitment to go out to Stillwater's.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So you had actually experienced other programs here in particular. Yeah. So why Stillwater's? What do you think it was about Stillwater's that?
Well, I at one time I went through Stillwater's before, but I didn't. I did the 30 days and I was out, and I just was kind of like crossing off the boxes of what my family wanted to hear, what I thought I needed to do. This would be enough. At that time, I think for me, going to Stillwater's was the next step, if that makes sense. And then convinced myself I was giving it 100%, and then they obviously asked me to extend, and I was like, well, I got big commitments to get back to. I need I might do the halfway house or something like that, or the recovery coach. Maybe we'll talk about it. Yeah.
How long were you there this last time?
A little over 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it a good experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the people that work here have the same statement on that, but it's like the best decision I've ever made was to do that.
Yeah. I'm a Stillwater's alum too, so it's it was a different kitchen back then, but
yeah, the first time I went through for 30 days was when the kitchen was actually inside the house, and you all huddled around, and we sat at the community tables, which I think is a great idea. They still have the community table aspect out there still, but it's not the same as when you were cramped in. There was no way to isolate. Yeah, absolutely.
A room this size, exactly. It was not a commercial kitchen.
Oh no, absolutely not.
It was cramped quarters, like all hands on deck. Let's crank a meal out situation. Which but I think of course, been out there quite a bit. Working here now, and the culture out there is, you can see the same elements, the same main ideas, kind of push through almost everything they do, kitchen included. One of the things I love that always blows me away still is, which I remember, but going out there, when you eat and the group prayer, And you guys remember that when we went out there and visitors eat first, and then afterwards, it's just like a flurry of activity because everybody's cleaning up, you know. And it's not just quote unquote the staff; it's everybody that's out there. It's such a unique culture.
Yeah, I mean, especially for visitors when they go out there and guys are clearing your plates for you. And refilling your water bottles. And
yeah, and inviting you to come get dessert.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So I know that I know you were a chef before Stillwaters.
Yeah.
This is like your profession.
Yes.
Talk about that. I mean, it doesn't have to be from a recovery perspective. I'm just super curious like about you and how you were led to become a chef. Tell us that story.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, where do you want me to start? From the beginning?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Well, the beginning for me was, I was in college. I was going to school, and then I got a job in a kitchen just as...
What kind of kitchen?
I got a job at a bakery, and they had a fine dining restaurant, and this was in Bloomington, Indiana. It was called Scholars Inn, so they had a bakery, and I got a job at the fine dining restaurant. It's just a line cook at the time.
What's that mean?
The line cook's basically the guy that's, the tickets are going off, and it's the guy that's actually cooking the food, and then there's an executive chef calling out tickets and yelling at you and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So just
the run in the kitchen, the opening beginner position. And then
that's the beginner position.
Well, I mean,
it can be.
In fine dining kitchens, you would start typically, as a dishwasher or a garde-manger, which would be salads, and then you move up to saute, and then you would move up to saucier or protein station, and then to sous chef. And
then
this kitchen was a little smaller. I mean, this was in Bloomington, Indiana. It's pretty loose. Yeah, we get to the fine dining ones later on down the road here, which I'll probably give you the quick version of.
But at Scholars, what was it? The Scholars what?
It's called Scholars Inn.
Shout out to them.
Yeah,
they're probably still around.
Scholars. I think they are. Yeah, it's a pretty big bakery. But at the time, that was a very nice establishment for me.
Yeah.
And I think the best way for me to talk about why I was so drawn to cooking. Mostly it was my buddies are the guys that push me into getting a job in a kitchen, because we would come home and I would make things and they say, you're being creative. I never really was interested in it. And one of my friends suggested I get a job in a kitchen. I thought I would try it, but I played music and I was in a lot of bands. And I think that lifestyle of working in a kitchen was the exact same as being in a band. Like, you go to practice, you have your show, like the restaurant opens, you're open at the end of the show, you break down everyone in restaurants. What restaurant life's like. Everyone's going out. It's a family party. Going out to eat, doing all the things.
Interesting.
And that lifestyle, it's just all...
kind of the same, and a little similar schedule.
Yeah, and the people in restaurants. It's all... There's a certain type of people that are drawn to restaurants, and I think I was drawn to that as kind of... whatever you want to call it.
Sure, yeah.
But, this was before the Anthony Bourdain stuff, but anyone that's familiar with him can fill in the blanks on what I'm saying there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what happened after the Scholar?
So I kind of slowly moved up in restaurants, and I worked at a French restaurant. I moved back to Indianapolis shortly after that because I realized college wasn't going to happen, and I was fully invested in cooking at that time.
You were all in.
I was all in, yeah. I was I was probably 21, 22, so I kind of was realizing that it was time to get a profession. School was not my number one priority at the time, and I just really fell in love with the kitchen. And I thought, this is where I belong. And I asked for advice from a couple of my good friends on cooking, and ended up landing a job at a French restaurant in Zionsville, which is not in business. It was called Plum's Upper Room, and I was basically a cook there. I eventually became the head chef there a couple years later. And that was my first kind of more fine dining, if that makes sense. And I had a little bit of responsibility. That was my first time ordering. That was the first time where I had creativity. I decided not to go to culinary school. I was kind of flirting with that idea for a little bit. And then from the majority of people that I was talking to, they're like, whatever you want to do, you can work for somebody and they're going to teach you how to do that. So I wanted to learn how to butcher. I worked at a butcher shop for a while. You want to learn how to make French sausage, you go and work for a French chef for a while. You're going to learn all the mother sauces. Someone's going to pay you money instead of paying, $45,000 to go to school for it.
When you became a head chef, there's Was the financial responsibility in terms of budgeting and ordering and forecasting?
I mean, at this place, the owner was very, very involved, and she was, I think, technically kind of the head chef, and I was, she's the owner, head chef, and I was the executive chef.
Got it.
But this was a very small, independent business.
Yeah.
And then I ended up leaving there. I went to a butcher shop, and then I ended up going back there as the executive chef, as like the official title. And then I was, involved in the restaurant scene a lot through that butcher shop. The owner of that shop had just moved back from Chicago and was a very well-to-do, he had a very great resume. So I wanted to work for him at the butcher shop. And at the time there was a pre-fee fine dining tasting menu restaurant in Indianapolis, Indiana. And through friends that I had made through the butcher shop, I ended up working for that restaurant. And that restaurant was called Recess. And I would say that guy is my mentor. And I worked there for, I'd say 6 years.
Wow.
Maybe. And I worked my way. I mean, I started as a saute and there's only one position. He was the owner and he was the chef. He had just moved back from California and he worked for a lot of, I'm not going to go through the chefs, but
yeah, very
well-to-do chefs, very well respected. And there's only one position under him and it was his executive sous chef or chef de cuisine. And I worked my way up to that position. And I worked for him and so we did a tasting menu every single day, and he cooked 100% by heart. And this is why, like I say, culinary school might not be the best thing for everyone, or for me personally, was because the way he cooked is what was walking in the door was what was on the menu that night. And it was talking to purveyors every single day.
Every day?
Yeah, I mean, every single day. So we had, a company that did our fish.
Yep.
Company for our beef. Company that did our pork, chicken, and duck, all of our vegetables, and it was through email, text. This is what we have. That walks in the door, and the guy says, "This is what's on the menu tonight. We're going to create something with this," and that's what we're serving this evening.
Wow!
And and he changed the menu every single day, so it wasn't. We never repeated anything. So that's where I feel like the soul of cooking, where I learned that.
So now that I know that, not to fluff your pillows, but I feel like since you've been here, head chef here, there are always these things that me and Kyle always talk about it. Shout out to Kyle. But whatever it is that's at the end, that's some sort of medley of fruit.
Yeah.
Or I'm not the person to be able to adequately describe.
I just call them marinated vegetables at this point.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Is always, which was never there before. And there's no Jim Threadgill and Alex, everybody has contributed to the spirit of food at Cumberland Heights, which is kind of one of our, seems to be one of the hearthstones of who we are, is just giving people good meat and three. But that based on what you just said, I can see that bleeding through who you are in the kitchen you present today, which is maybe a compliment to your experience.
Yeah, I try to cook as seasonally as possible. I mean, obviously we don't have the luxury of a farmer wanting to drive 30 minutes to deliver us 5 pounds of carrots, which would last us 15 minutes of service, and we're open for 2 hours. But we try to stick with that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to serve snap peas when there's snow on the ground, and but
yeah.
I still try to keep that mentality. And a lot of the time I know it can drive my staff crazy, but a lot of things you don't really see it on our menu, but a lot of things change very, very quickly. And what the menu might be that morning for us might not be what the menu is. And I change it, and I know it can be frustrating sometimes. But
I don't know. I don't know. I've never been frustrated. I like seeing how you guys are celebrating the classics. And like you said, just there's always a twist, a little bit of a twist. It doesn't, for me, and I'm not the only, person coming and eating, right? But it's never, I don't know, it's never in clash with having a great meal, So we're going to have fried chicken. I know it's going to have the staples, but I know there's also going to be something interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be respectful of what came before me here.
Yeah.
I mean, if I came here and just tried to cook French food every single day, I mean, it would just not be sustainable in any way for anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you adjust your kitchen? This is a residential treatment center.
Right.
This is what people know as rehab. And there are people coming in here, all walks of life, all stages of life, different health conditions. Some of them haven't been prioritizing eating. or nutrition. What's your mindset? What's your kitchen's mindset in that, and stable meals, healthy, hearty?
Well, every day I'm going to have something that I think is going to be appealing to the general public. Like today we had herb roasted chicken breast and roasted pork with a gravy that, tomato gravy, which is traditionally a Southern gravy. And then we might have a couple odd things throughout, but you can pick and choose those. But still, if someone wants to come in and get a plate of potatoes, some pulled pork, and put barbecue sauce on it, have a side salad, you got it. You're getting the nutrition. I mean,
interesting.
From a dietary perspective, I think one of the biggest changes that I have put into place is all of our sauces, which is one of my big things that I'm into and kind of my baby in the kitchen right now. As we started doing all of our own stock. So all of the sauces that you're going to have are going to be made from chicken stock, beef stock, veal stock. And from a dietary perspective, I think
it's much better for you. Yeah.
Much better for you. Trying to thicken sauces in the right way. Then obviously, like you said, I'll usually have 2 hot vegetables out on the bar every single day. Like one today was fried Brussels sprouts that's glazed in a sweet sauce. The other is roasted root vegetables. That's very simple, salt and pepper, right? Mm-hmm. So you pick and choose, and then we usually have that marinated vegetable on the side, or salad, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there were 2 bread options today.
Correct. That was our debut of one of our focaccias that a new hire I've had him working on.
Really?
Yeah.
From
so
scratch?
we've started making some of our own bread.
Yeah.
So shout out to Zach. He's my new hire.
Shout out to Zach.
Yeah. That was his
when I saw it, I was like, nope, I'm going straight for whatever this is.
Yeah. That was about a week in we've been messing with that for a week. And then it
was great.
With the rye on it. And we've been doing it in small batches. That one we ended up putting some caramelized onions and garlic on the inside of the bread, so it kind of messed with my ferment a little bit. It didn't get as many bubbles as some of the plain ones.
Yeah.
Now we're getting a little weird with it.
I love it. I don't know if anybody else had it, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, he's been baking bread every other day, I'd say, for about the past 2 weeks.
Is that cheaper too?
Yeah, for sure.
Can be.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it's more just scale, slowly as over time with the staff that I have,
Mm-hmm.
And being fully staffed right now, I mean, I'm starting to be able to do some of the things that I've wanted to do for a long time, like baking our own bread. I mean, that's not going to be sustainable for every single bread that we serve. But,
right.
If possible, I would love for us to be baking our own bread. And when I first started, before I was the chef, I came in, and that was still when Threadgill was here. And I was like, we're going to start making all our own breakfast sausage from scratch. We're going to start making this from scratch. And then you work here for a week and you serve 200 people, and you kind of get your perspective changes pretty quick.
Yeah. Because there's hungry people,
right.
and 3 meals a day on time and the whole deal is a challenge,
Yeah, it was an adjustment for me going from the restaurant life to cooking.
Tell me about it. It's okay.
You've seen the pots that we use. I mean, we just do everything. I mean, when you're in a restaurant, everything's to order, especially when I was doing fine dining. It's very small portions, For a long period of time, I was doing the food with the little dots and the flowers on top of it, right?
Yeah.
And you eat 18 things.
Yeah.
And it's just exhausting, but it's very, very pretty, and you can take pictures of it and tell your friends about it. And it's fantastic.
And here we are cranking out.
Right. So the first time I come in, you make turnip greens, and, you're making turnip greens in a pot for 150 people. It's just, I'm used to my little French cooking skillet, that's just that big, and now, it's the size of this table. So, yeah. It took a while. It's a little adjustment.
Yeah. What are the cons of it? What's the negative?
I guess it would probably just be creatively. Sometimes it can feel that way, but the way that I have the menu is we don't do a rotation, which everyone else has done, where it was the same meals every 4 weeks, if that makes sense.
I do, because everybody can count on it,
right? Every
Monday is this,
right? On the Tuesday we're gonna have spaghetti meatballs, so I switch it up, and then that's, like I said, we try to cook with the seasons as much as possible. So we might have one meal that was Brussels sprouts, and then we change the vegetable, or I change a protein on it. So I'm trying to switch things up usually when I reload that meal, because I have, a very long sheet of all the meals that we've done, and I'll put it back in and switch it up.
Yeah. Let me switch gears on you a little bit. When along your journey did kind of addiction, I don't want to not necessarily take root, but fester, get out of control?
I mean, there were little spurts of it, I think. when I was, in my 20s, 21. I mean, when I was in high school still, I was,
me too.
I was not the ideal candidate.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I was in high school, I was into playing in hardcore bands, and I was going to be a rock star. You know what I mean? Like that was all I cared about, was playing in hardcore bands. And I remember going and drinking for the first time after a show. And but with the hardcore stuff, I was straight edge for a while too, which goes with the hardcore stuff, which I thought was pretty entertaining. But then I switched gears pretty fast. And then, with working in a restaurant, I think it's very easy to hide that stuff because it's so promoted. I think the restaurant industry also introduced me to a lot of substances and lifestyles that maybe weren't a part of my life before that. Mm-hmm. When every single person you're working at is going and drinking till 2:00 in the morning, and other substances are being introduced that you weren't familiar with, and who knew it? You like that too.
So when you got clean and sober, I don't know how you identify, but when you started your recovery journey, did you have some fear about your place in a kitchen in the future, given the kind of the cultural relationship with that lifestyle? Or was that not something you were concerned about?
I think the first time I did, but I was completely oblivious, and just my expectations were completely unrealistic. I thought that I could go to treatment, I'd be fine going back in the professional kitchen.
Right. You think that's what was that?
So me following suggestions is by the amount of times that I went to treatment, right? You kind of detox, and then I go a second time, I'm gonna get a little bit more serious, and then you go again, okay, I'm gonna do this. And then last time when I went to Stillwater's, it was.
Were you working in a kitchen before you went?
I was.
Yeah. Okay. And was the events, was it just, I guess was work a big motivating factor for you changing, in the sense that you weren't performing and things were falling apart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that the last time before I went to Stillwater's, I had been clean for a while and then relapsed. Mm-hmm. And, and I was just done. Yeah. And then also the majority of the time I was at Stillwater's, I never intended to cook again.
Really?
I don't.
Interesting.
While you're out there, though, I'm following suggestions, and your sponsor and what people are saying to you, and they're like, you can't go back to a fine dining kitchen. You've done this how many times? You really think you're going to do it again, or have you accepted that you probably can't do that anymore?
Right. So you're open-minded to that, which is
I was open-minded,
which is scary. But sometimes part of the change process is just actually truly being open-minded to the idea.
Sure.
Versus, because you're still in treatment for 8 months. There's no way to really, it's like, you know what, I'm actually going to try this out. And then you end up in a good old kitchen in Stillwater's.
Yeah, when that position opened up, it was a no-brainer for me.
Was it?
Let's go. Yeah.
Did you get excited?
Yeah.
Who was so it was you and Alex out there?
Right, yeah. So he was taking the thread.
Do you remember the first meal you served in recovery out there?
At Stillwater's or here?
Out at Stillwater's.
No, I don't.
Do you remember the first one here?
I think it was a Philly cheesesteak or something. Yeah.
Yeah, classic.
I think it was Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah. You're just following the menu, though. You're just doing your thing.
Yeah.
Stillwater's has a different style too. They do their crawfish boils and other things out there.
That's where I got the barbecue bug.
Really?
Yeah. So they have an electric smoker out there, but they also used to have an open, real wood fire pit. It's still out there, I'm sure, but made out of stone where you could put the wood, and that was my identity for a while.
You started to nerd out.
Barbecue, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, shout out to the smoker we have out here. It's a beast.
Yeah, that thing's. He's a monster.
And that's another one where it's just completely, I don't want to say automated, but you're not having to put the wood in there, are you?
Yeah, we put the wood.
Really?
There's a little compartment on the side to put the wood.
So you have to monitor and maintain that temperature and all that. Mm-hmm. Is somebody manning it? Is that you, or is that somebody else in the kitchen?
Well, it'll stay at a set temp.
Oh, it will. It'll maintain itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With the one at Stillwater's,
because those green eggs or whatever you're using, it's like you got to be out there.
Yeah, we don't have time for that. No.
You got to it has to be your life.
A lot of that stuff's overnight. So brisket, we were talking about the pulled pork we did for the picnic.
Yep.
That stuff's all in batches. So it comes in, it gets marinated, it gets brined, it gets cured, and then we smoke it. It's a 2 or 3 day process on some of that. That's why a lot of barbecue you'll see is I'm going to serve it on Wednesday or Thursday. It's because I'm getting that in on Monday. I want to prep it. I want the meat to cure under salt for a day before we smoke it.
Yeah.
To get, the pellicle and the nice crust on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get that good smoke ring.
Yeah.
What do you think our patient, how long have you been head chef here now? How long have you been working just in the kitchen?
I've been working here for 3 years, I feel like.
What do you think the top 3 meals are? Most popular.
Most popular meals?
Not your favorite, but the most
prime
popular.
rib.
People gotta have the
fried chicken. And chicken tenders, probably. I mean, those are my 3 most requested meals.
You know what's funny about the chicken tenders, which are like no shame to us, but like bagged frozen chicken tenders that you like the ones that you serve in the southeast of this country or everywhere else, whatever. I'm not going to name the vendor wherever we get them from, but I think it's comfort food.
100%.
It's like you were talking about, just the person that comes in that wants the potatoes and the pork shoulder and the barbecue sauce. It's so much change, so much challenge, so much upheaval, so much confusion and contradiction associated with being, 2 weeks sober.
Yeah.
That, you come in and you're like, do I want a salad, a cold, crisp salad, or do I want to just eat something that's familiar to me in my culture? And maybe that's a drumstick, which the fried chicken we have here, not the chicken nuggets, but is incredible. I think it's really good. So, but that other stuff is just the mac and cheese.
Yeah, I mean
the peas. Like
try to space it out. So we did fried chicken, and I think that night was the night that we did I had a mixed seafood, like a paella, play-in paella. We did rotisserie chicken with that, but then also had fried calamari and it has a bouillon-based sauce, right? So you're getting fried chicken, mashed potatoes for lunch. Here's something,
just kind of
something a little more different.
Yeah. Expand people's palates a little bit. And then what do you go ahead?
Well, I was gonna say typically on Fridays I kind of have that set as like a burger, hot dog, Philly cheesesteak. We try to keep that day as going into the weekend. Let's do something fun that everyone's gonna enjoy.
Yeah. What do you think? I remember you telling me what has been the least popular meal you've served here, you think?
Oh, I did a Vietnamese meal. That I don't think was super well received.
I don't think I had it. I think I was not here that day.
I do a lot of that stuff on dinner, and I kind of dip the toe in the water and see what happens. Yeah, I think we might have irritated a couple people with that one.
How do you know? Like, do people like say something inside the kitchen? Or you just hear the grumblings?
I ask. Yeah, I mean, we talk to the patients. I mean, you can tell by, a lot of the patients, you can tell by, I'm always in the kitchen, so by the people that are putting their plates in the window, you can tell by how well received it is by the people that are returning their plates.
Yeah.
By how many that was awesome, or I've never had that before. And then I know I'm successful. Like, supposedly on the shellfish night, a lot of people were talking about the shellfish. They love the shellfish. They never had mussels. They'd never had that sauce before. So that's a win for me.
Okay.
A fish sauce vinaigrette.
I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah.
That's one interesting.
But like I said, with that meal, we still have the rice. We still have the chicken. So if you want to
play it safe,
you can. I think maybe fish sauce vinaigrette and peanut and cilantro, along with the other items we were doing, might be a little eclectic for our population.
Yeah.
So, we've adjusted that one a little bit.
Do you feel like your team, like this person, Zach, that is new? Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about him or anything, but like when you're hiring somebody new, how do you talk about what we do? Because this is not a traditional restaurant.
Well, Zach's an alumni, so
he's a little easier. He gets
Stillwaters.
Yeah. Oh, well, that is even.
The majority of people that end up working in the kitchen know about what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I've hired a couple people that didn't, and they didn't work out.
Is there anything? Yeah, I was going to say, is there anything you ever have to prime new staff with about hey, we're here to serve or whatever? I don't know, if do you have any spiel or is it just professional expectation?
I go over, whenever I interview someone, I bring them in, and I bring them in right at the end of lunch is when they interview. So they see the kitchen right after we've served, 150, sometimes 200 people, and they see the kitchen the way it's going to be, and they see what the line looks like. I say, this is what it's going to be, is the amount of people that we serve. Give them a tour, talk about what we do. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't try to sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
So that their expectations are 100%. This is what it's going to be. That's like kind of the reason for bringing them at the end of lunch is when the kitchen's dirty. You bring them in at the beginning of the day, everything's great. Everything's perfectly clean. Nothing's been brought out yet.
Yeah.
It
looks perfect.
looks great, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's going on yet. Into lunch, there's a lot going on. People are moving around. Dishes are being washed. Things are getting cleaned. The dinner is going into service. So more things are being brought out while things are being put back in the cooler. I want them to see it while we're still in full service.
Yeah. How often do guests out here interact with you guys?
Very, very often.
Yeah. What's that? What do they say? Is it just all about the food, or is it other stuff?
Especially with my food service assistants, they start to get relationships, I think, with the patient, or more get to know what's going on with them. They talk about what's going on. I mean, we get a lot of letters from patients, like
really,
nice, which is really nice. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have some posters and stuff.
Oh, I've seen
they'll
those.
make us the little posters, but I'd say once every 2 weeks we're getting a handwritten note from a patient.
That's really nice.
Which means a lot. And a lot of it is just like, I was having a hard day and someone gave me a smile and whatever it is. The kitchen, food's nourishing you, right? So it's comfortable. It's going to be as, mentally or emotionally, taxing as sitting in a group or dealing, going with your counselor, right? It's usually the safe time of the day for a lot of people.
Yeah. You're kind of reminding me too of the space where people are eating. Like we talked about the kitchen, we talked about where service happens, where your staff usually are, but so much of that community time, that's still whatever program you're in is like happens in that dining hall, like that's why it's so
where you're
popular.
Making friends. It's where you're talking about what's going on at home. That's where sometimes you're stuck in your head. All of the different, I remember the first time I came through, I went and I sat in the back by myself. I was detoxing. I didn't feel good. I didn't want to talk to anyone. We had to go to a meeting right after that. People were talking to me, coming up, asking me what my name was.
Not having it.
I was not having it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then over time, you moved closer to the middle.
Yeah, by then you're giving people high fives, walking through the line. Oh, great. These fried cauliflower things. I love these. Awesome. Yeah. It's Thursday again.
Yeah. We can count on.
That means burgers tomorrow.
Yeah. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So do you have any new dishes on the horizon that you're going to test out? Because by the way, this episode will come out, 2 months from now, maybe? 2.5 months from now. So I'm
bringing back what I would say my best received meal that I have done, and also most eclectic meal that I've done that I didn't think would go over well, which is the Korean short ribs. We're bringing that one back. I don't know if you're here for that one with the panko chicken and the sushi rice and kimchi.
So good. Yep.
I put kimchi out there. I thought that it was going to be a disaster, and then everyone
ate it up. So I just worked with my purveyor because that's a special order product, and I literally today found a way for us to consistently get that product. So that'll be coming back. Nice. But as far as receiving emails about a new meal that we've never done before, that was the best received. Yeah. Do you ever come in and just get creative on these little side things that you're doing?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I never come in without knowing I know a plan of what's going to happen. A lot of that stuff happens throughout the week. So some days I'll post Monday, Tuesday's meal.
I noticed that. Yeah.
And the rest of the week isn't posted yet. And that's because I walk in and I say, okay, there's a case of chicken. Let's roast that or smoke it and then pull it. Let's do a smoked chicken and noodles or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we missing in the kitchen? What do you need? Is there like a tool or like a fancy...
Oh.
How long do I have? Yeah.
All of our equipment is still up to date and works.
Yeah.
Great.
If you could choose one thing to get, what would it be?
I have to think about that.
It's a tough commitment.
If I could think. I have a flat top. I'm trying to get installed, but right now, what I really need is to have the kitchen realigned. So I'm kind of working with a guy about just we're going to move some things around.
Yeah, so like you're going to move the furniture around a little bit.
Move the furniture around a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So I want a flat top, but there's not enough space to put anything
in
there. The one thing I would really like to bring in would be like Michitan Japanese charcoal cooking.
I have no idea what you just said.
So it's like a small box charcoal style Japanese cooking, like yakitori. So if you see the chicken on the stick and you rotate it.
Yeah.
But to do that, we would need 4 or 5 of them, and you have to kind of start the charcoal before that. So that's been my next adventure. I'm trying to find
so
a way
first
that we
you got to
can do
move things around.
kind of like kebab style cooking.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun to do, but then So that's
So you got to move the furniture around, which is kind of a whole situation, and then to make room for this new flat top you have, and then maybe this.
I mean, things like we do the burgers that we do. They're grilled burgers. They're great. Everyone loves them. But I would like to maybe do like a patty melt or a smash burger, right?
Ooh,
like, things like that.
Hey now,
right? Because my favorite burger is Hugh Babies, So.
And we need the flat top to do that.
You need a flat top. You got to smash it. You can't smash it on the grill. The burger's going to go through. Yeah, you can get some charcoal.
I thought we had a flat top. Is it just tiny?
Well, we have the tilt skillet, which can be used as a flat top, but there's the little gap in there. So when you're doing it, you're bending over the whole time, which gets old pretty quick.
But we have a new one. It's just not installed.
We have one. I've purchased it.
Got it.
Just waiting to get.
So what goes into moving the furniture around? Like it's just an ordeal because you got to.
It's an ordeal because of our floor drains. I need to break into the bottom of the floor in order for the drainage.
Because you got to add one?
We have to add one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which then means you do a little trenching, which takes off part of the kitchen for how long?
Which means, yeah. That's been in the works for a while. Yeah.
I'm excited. Smash burger. Let's make right? Smash burgers would be a hit.
Yeah.
Like people would be.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
It would.
I used to do those out at Stillwater's. We did patty melts all the time. I mean,
because I do have the big one on the left hand side.
Yeah, but there you're cooking for 30 guys. So, you do 15 patty melts, 15 fried chicken sandwiches, good to go. If you're lucky enough to get a patty melt, then.
I have a funny story about that kitchen.
Yeah.
So a couple months ago, I don't remember when, but I was going out there with IT, one of the teams that I'm on, and there was some issue with you might have an opportunity to be honest here today, Ryan. So there was some issue with the PA system. At Cumberland Heights, we love a good PA system. And I can't remember who it was, maybe Ed, we got some problems over there. So I'm, walking around with them trying to figure out whatever the issue is. And we go into the kitchen and they're like, yeah, who's out there now? Nick?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, there used to be one in here. Because, for perspective, like, sometimes I feel like we use the PA system a little much, but like in an emergency, God forbid, like, a tornado or something happening, like it is helpful to be able to do the emergency page inside and out, blah, blah, blah. And the kitchen can be a loud place. So I think there's a little bit more music, smaller. They can do that. And all that to say, we're testing it. It's not in there. So we're like, okay. Yeah. Is this you?
Me.
Okay. So we crawl up in there's a little access, right there, wherever it is. And so we crawl or wherever, maybe by that office. Anyways, we get up there and I'm not a
tech guy.
No, I just, I'm an adopted tech guy in terms of like, I'm not the guy that actually does the cabling and all that, right? More the data science and the research. And so anyways, I'm up there fumbling around, pretending I know what I'm doing. But I see this like plug, this gang box, and then I see this cord unplugged up there. And I'm like, well, boop.
Yeah.
And the PA system just comes right on. And so
I can believe that.
No one came clean. But, it is what it is. So it's a fun, we got to get a laugh out of that.
That happened, yeah.
I bet what it was is somebody has a call at the main house.
Yeah. Like
it
gets super loud in that kitchen. I mean,
it was too loud.
It's like ear bleeding levels when they.
It was too loud, yeah. And so there's a little knob on them, so we just
turned it down all this time.
Who would have known? Who would have known? That's good, man. I think from my perspective, like the kitchen is such an underrated part of a good treatment program. Having worked at a few places and having toured many more, having good, reliable food that, like you said, is a nourishing experience for some. And also, I can't stress this enough, is culturally sensitive to where people, like in the Southeast, Meat and Three is a tool that is used to help, I would think, keep people engaged. If we're serving, I don't know, food from the Midwest or something that's unfamiliar to this area, it would not be popular. It wouldn't be a comforting experience. And then, so anyways, for whatever it's worth to your staff and to you and everybody else in between that's been a part of it, it's what y'all do is in its own way important, just like a treatment plan is, just like a group is. It's everything together.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate that.
Do you feel that way about it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not on the clinical side of things, but I think it's still a very important part of your stay.
Yeah. Has it been interesting here to manage, because you are, having to manage your budget and food costs and like you were talking about earlier, overtime and balancing all that.
Right.
Is that similar as to the big professional kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing.
Same thing. It's a little different. I mean, I think a restaurant fluctuates a little more on your clientele, right? So how busy the restaurant is based on how much money you're spending. We're pretty.
We know. We can count on it.
I mean, our numbers are going up by at most 20 people as far as
in terms of a swing back and forth.
Back
yeah,
and
it's
forth.
usually between this mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in restaurants, you could go from doing 220 covers a night, and then the next night you could do 45, and then do 110 the next night. It's just very hit or miss.
Mm-hmm. Do you count plates?
No.
Do y'all do it that way? Okay.
No.
Now you've just got your sweet spot, and you know how much you need.
I know how much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll change certain things, but I always, like I said, sometimes I always have a backup plan. So when right now we're a little bit lower than usual, so that's reducing maybe a case of what the protein is, but I would always have something that's lined up in case.
And is that you? Are you doing all the ordering and all of that?
I do all of the ordering. Yeah. So I'm on the opening shift, so I'm the first one there 2 days a week. I have Teresa, a prep cook.
What time is that?
Teresa, that's 5 a.m. Sometimes 4:30 a.m. And our orders get there between 4:30 and 5. Some days they're there by the time I get there. In the ideal world, we want them there at 5, out by 6. Breakfast is served by 7. But I like getting there early because unless I'm gone, I'm doing all of the ordering. So that means that when the order is coming in, I have eyes on every single thing that's coming in. That means I know all the product that's in the kitchen.
Right.
So there's no guessing on whether or not we have enough hot dogs for Friday, right? Like
right.
We saw 5 cases come in, that's enough.
Right.
Yeah.
How does it work? Are there sometimes that you order things and it doesn't end up coming in? And oh wow. It just kind of depends, and they're like, sorry, we'll hit you back next run.
So the way I've kind of taken care of that is like today I placed an order. We'll get a small order tomorrow.
Wow. Really? I mean,
we typically only get orders 4 days a week.
Really?
And I've been doing some smaller orders and then getting one on Friday to kind of just balance them out a little bit. But I ordered the proteins for Monday.
Interesting.
Those will come in tomorrow.
And do we order food for any other programs?
No.
Okay, it's just this site.
Yeah.
Because I know the men order for the Stillwater's men order for Stillwater's women. There's a whole different can of worms, but yeah.
Like all the product that came in today, that's everything for the weekend. So we will not be getting an order until Monday now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's that.
Yeah, but you got to stay ahead of it. And then we always have a backup plan. You keep some things in case worse.
Can I ask you a numbers question?
Sure.
How much do we spend on food a month? Or a week?
I mean, a week around 20,000.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Like everything you need to feed 150 people on a consistent basis.
Just depending on what type of events we're doing. I mean, when we do the picnic, that number's, you can add an extra 10 to that, right?
Yeah.
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 Which fluctuates, sometimes.
Have we gotten better at letting you know? Because I know in the past sometimes it's like, hey, Ryan, by the way, we have an event next week for 50 people. But I hope we've gotten better.
It has, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we should be letting you know right now about Founders Day. We'll talk after
We'll talk after.
But yeah, you've always.
I haven't had any issues with that.
Yeah.
Recently, everything's been pretty smooth.
Do we ever order anything local? We ever take advantage of that, or is it just cost?
I've tried to, but the issue with that is I have to go pick it up from the market because no one will deliver to us.
Really?
Local. I mean, there was a guy that I never got the information for tomatoes down the road.
Yep.
Green Door.
Do we ever collab with a Green Door?
No, I'd be interested in doing that. I know I checked their pricing out though, and it's a
you're
little
going to
steep.
pay for it. Yeah.
It's a little steep.
Yeah.
And then most of the farmers that I've tried to do that with, they want me to go pick it up on Saturday. So that means I got to drive to the farmer's market, load my car, then drive it in, drop it off.
I do know we should connect that because I know somebody from the Green Door, and everything in there. Like when you talk about like that ground beef in there, I'm thinking smash burgers in the future.
Yeah.
Just trying to help purvey for you, but there's some stuff around here that maybe that'd be really neat. I think that'd be really cool.
I'm interested in it. Yeah.
Are you ever going to start are you interested in starting a garden out here?
Yeah. Sure. If it was the right plot of land, I mean, not the one that was around the tree next to the young men's department, but we could do it properly, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the right spot.
Yeah, you can plant enough basil for a couple days, right?
Joey Darby here wants to plant corn out by the softball field. Recreate like a little Field of Dreams situation. That might be a little too much corn all at once, you know?
It's a lot of corn.
But yeah, I think that'd be cool, you know, for I used to work for an outdoor program in treatment a long time ago, and one of the things that was really cool is, you know, that type 2 fun. That's not like this instant, like, let's go jump off the high ropes course, which is awesome. It happens right when you want it to happen. It's like, okay, we're going to go, you know, work the land, for lack of a better term, and plant this food. And this is a series of months and months and months long process that we're going to eventually be able to benefit from.
Yeah, it's also making like another investment, you know, right?
And teaching people a trade, that would be something really cool for us to explore, you know, in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have participated in that when I was in treatment.
Yeah, you know, kind of like exactly a little iteration of what you're able to do.
Yeah,
in one role for Stillwaters, but kind of like.
I think as long as we could do it where we're going to be able to get some yield off of it, where you can actually utilize it within the food here.
Yeah. Should be really unique. It's going to take that champion, though. It can't be. It's a full. I've
heard of a couple other facilities that
interesting.
have some similar things like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's cool. Well, I really appreciate you, man. I'm really glad that you're here and just proud of what you do. And again, from the food that we eat and how it helps our programs, I hope you feel really proud, and I hope your team does too. It's good to hear that you guys get some great feedback. And
yeah, I'm fortunate to have a really good team right now. So
they are awesome, and thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely.
We'll have you again, and I think maybe Ryan too might have a couple features. Who knows? We might have a couple shots of you in the kitchen that we might have time to collect by this episode going out. And Ryan wanted you to bring food, by the way. He didn't tell you that, but yeah, a little taste. Maybe we can do that again another time. No, maybe, you know what we should do, which you'll hate, but we could come into the kitchen and cook something with you. Like, that's easy and not... Ryan just shook his head like,
I'm willing.
Sure, that is an idea, whether or not that happens or not. I really want to, like...
Well, when tell me what you want to cook.
I don't know. Chicken.
No.
Fried chicken. You don't like the fried chicken, do you?
I love the fried chicken, yeah.
But is that just too much of a process?
I love fried chicken and chicken tenders as much as anyone else, yeah.
We can do something like smash burgers.
Yeah.
When you get the flat top in, that would be fun to do, you know.
Those are work. You got to get the shoulder in.
Yeah, you got to which is why you need that angle.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And are you going to do the onions on top or your own twist?
Oh, the Wisconsin style?
Yeah.
Probably.
Real super thin?
Yeah.
But you got to have the solos because somebody's going to complain.
Those are tricky, though, because you got to get them, you know, the steam, and you can't burn the onions, so you got to really...
Oh, you got to cut, you got to do the little thing.
I'd probably say we'll do a choice on those, maybe. You know, if you want to go Wisconsin style, you can go Wisconsin. You want to go traditional, you can go traditional, get your shape.
And then maybe you're going to come up with some other third variant.
Yeah, and then we'll do like a Szechuan Chinese lamb burger or something like that, just for the people that really want to get weird. Yeah.
Why not? Why not? When you serve burgers now, you have like 4 different there's like the beef, there's the Beyond, there's the bean.
Yep. Turkey.
Forgot about the turkey.
Turkey burger, yeah.
You know? So we could just get crazy in there. Thanks, man. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for following along. Please like and follow us. If you want to learn more about what Ryan does, reach out to us and follow our socials. From time to time, we do have videos from the kitchen, and we love our kitchen. Thank you. See you again next time.